Good morning, everybody. Today, let me welcome you in another lesson on Poem 2, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum by Stephen Spender. He was an English poet and an essayist. He had a keen interest in politics and he declared himself to be a socialist and pacifist. So he traveled into communism and traveled back disillusioned. He has a lot of experience of society and human affairs. His experience has got expression in all his literary works. In this poem, he has concentrated on themes of social injustice and class inequalities. Okay, let us see that in first stanza, he talks of the classroom and the students. How they are categorized you have to see in this stanza, and their inadequacy in a school classroom. You have also focused on the imagery and figures of speech used here, and you have also to see the tone of the poet that is highly satirical. Let us see that stanza, okay? Stanza 1 is, far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, their hair torn round their pallor. First two lines describe the faces of the children in general. And he says that these children's faces lack the requisite spirit reflected on them. Their faces are far, far away from the gusty waves of emotions, expression of the emotions on their faces. So they look like rootless weeds. Weeds are the unwanted, undesired plants in a field. Here the poet satirically used this word to show the position of these slum children, as they are also unwanted and undesired in human society, and that too they lack the spirit, so they are rootless weeds, and their hair is torn round their pale faces. Then one by one he takes the four examples of the students. The first, he talks about a tall girl who is sitting over there with her weighed down head. Weighed down head. Again here he is very satirical and very expressive. The girl is sitting over there with her head down with heavy weight on it. What may be this weight of? This is the weight of the traditions, customs, and the narrow attitudes of the people towards the girl child. She is suffering from all these things. She is overburdened with these things. So she is sitting over there with her head down. Another boy, the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. See how he has characterized the boy. He is suffering from malnutrition, so he seems to be made of paper, and his eyes look like those of rats. Another boy is there, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones. He is undergrown, and his unlucky heir means unlucky son of twisted bones, means his father is also suffering from the disease of the twisted bones. And that boy, his look is so expressive that seems to be giving his lesson sitting over there at his desk about his father's gnawed disease. Gnawed disease means the disease of the deformed bones that is full of knots, K-N-O-T-S, knots. Okay. Another boy, fourth one is unnoted one, though he is sweet boy, young boy, but he seems mentally absent in the class because his eyes living in a dream. His eyes are living in a dream of a squirrel game. Means he is in the dream of playing a squirrel game in the tree room. Means he is yearning for freedom and liberty for playing. All these four examples of the students so that they are not fit to sit in the classroom with such mindset, with such deformity, with so much of such a disease. They cannot take education. The poet has brought it out very well, very successfully. Now come to stanza 2. Stanza 2 discusses the classroom maintenance. 4 pieces of classroom decoration are discussed, and a contrast between civilized world and world of children is brought out. And thereby the poet has tried to bring out the inadequacy of classroom maintenance for their education too. The tone of the poet is again emphatic and satirical. Let us see stanza 2. He says that on sour cream walls donations. Classroom walls are painted with cream color, but this cream color is said to be sour. Sour refers to the cream and cream color walls and their significance for these children. These children live in slum area and they don't have such painted walls in their surrounding, in their environment, in their houses. So such a well maintained and painted wall that is painted in cream color is not within their reach, so it is sour to them. अंगूर खट्टे हैं ना? The fox could not find the grapes. She says that, rather it says that the grapes are sour. I am referring to the story. Okay. Similarly, here the students are not in the reach of such walls, so that is sour to them. So sour cream walls, donations. With donations, there is so much maintenance in the classroom that there is a Shakespeare's head displayed on the classroom, and another picture of civilized dome that is writing all cities cloudless at dawn is displayed. Second picture means civilized dome, means that is a structure, a tall structure, cemented structure, as we see on the mosques, churches, and even temples. Dome, gumbad, and that is rising on cities means that is taller than all other buildings in the city. Cloudless at dawn means in the background there is a cloudless of early morning sky that looks so serene and peaceful. And third piece of decoration is there, a beautiful scenery of Tyrolese Valley that is flowery and built. Built refers to the human activity there, human touch in a beautiful atmosphere. And fourth piece is open-handed map, a map that is openly made for the civilized people, that awards the whole world, the world of the civilized people, their world. Now, the poet shifts from this to the world of the slum children. He emphatically says that, and yet for these children, these windows, this map is not their window to look into their world. These windows are the classroom through which they can see their world. Not this map, but these windows are their world through which they can see into their area of hutments, and their whole future is condemned to be painted there, fixed there only. They are not allowed to go outside. You can see only a narrow street that is sealed in with a lead sky. Means even when you are street outside, you cannot see the bright sky, blue sky. That is sealed with lead color. Lead is of smoke, of fog and pollution. So their world is far, far from rivers, capes and stars of words. Stars of words means such great writers, poets like Shakespeare. Whatever is depicted in their literature, that is far, far away from the world of these children. Okay, now come to the third stanza. Third stanza is about the poet's opinion. Here he gives vent to his opinion strongly. He calls Shakespeare wicked and world map displayed there a bad example. Miseries of life in slum is highlighted in this stanza. The tone of the poet is very emphatic and satirical. Okay, let us see third stanza. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. The map a bad example, with sieves and sun and love, tempting them to steal. This map and the Shakespeare's literary works are with sieves. Sieves refers to the achievement of the mankind. Sun refers to the sun-created world of nature. And love, the values based on mutual love in human society, civilized society, as it is described and supposed to be. So, because Shakespeare and this map that show the ships, sun and love to tempt them to steal into it, so they are wicked and the map is a bad example. Because for the lives of the children, that slyly means lazily, who lack in spirit, enthusiasm and vigor to live a lively and active life. For lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes. Cramped holes refers to their huts. How satirical here the poet is. In holes live the rats, but here these slum children are said to be living in the cramped holes, means in the huts. Metaphor and satire. From fog to endless night, these poor, raised people turn from fog outside to endless night. When they go inside their cramped holes, it is like endless night that is never ending. Further, you see how satirical and how expressive the poet becomes in describing their life. On their slag heap refers to their body. Their body. Slag heap means garbage mound. You can throw anything on it. Same way they have eaten whatever they have found. So that is slag heap. And on their slag heap, on their body, they have worn skins. And these skins are peeped through by bones. Means they are very lean and thin. So their bones are looking out from within. Their spectacles are of steel frames and with mended glass. They can't afford that much. They are suffering from the eyesight weakness, but still they are condemned to wear the spectacles of heavy steel frame and broken glasses that are mended, maybe that are discarded by some rich people. And these spectacles look on their body like bottle bits on stones. See the simile. As bottle bits are broken and thrown on the stone. That is the look of their body with these spectacles. All of their time and space are foggy slum. He says that all their time and all the space wherever they can go, that is only foggy slum. Outside that they cannot go out. So, blot their maps, means their maps should be such that should be marked with the slum areas as big as doom. How revolutionary, how expressive, how emphatic the poet is here. He says that their maps should be blotted with the slums all over the world as big as doom. Thus you have seen how well brought out the contrast between the two words, the civilized world and the world of slum children. Now come to the fourth stanza. This stanza contains the poet's appeal for education of these children. His pleading is strongly for their freedom and liberty, and his views on their education with emphatic phrases. The tone of the poet is very revolutionary and didactic. By didactic, I mean the attitude, the tone that has an attitude to teach. He seems to be teaching the world how to educate these children. Here is the stanza. Unless governor, inspector, visitor from the international agencies come and see their condition and do something to free them, this map becomes their window. Which map? The map that is blotted with the slum area all over the world. And these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs break open. Meaning these windows, the windows of the classroom that show only their slum area, that shut upon their lives like catacombs, they should be broken. Catacomb is a system of grave in which the tombs, the graves do not open outside, but they open in an underground passage. On either side of this passage there are tombs and they open in it. So is the life of these children in the slum area. They come out of their huts. Their huts open outside, but they are not outside actually, because they cannot feel the bright sunshine. They cannot see the azure sky. They cannot feel the fresh air there in the slum area. And these impositions should be broken. Otherwise there would be so much unrest one day that they would come out and break the civilized town. Hence, these children should be sown the green fields. They should be allowed to make their world run azure. They should be allowed to go on the gold sands, on the beaches, on the river banks. And furthermore, let their tongues run naked into books. Means when they are reading books, their tongues run naked. That means that there should not be any taste put on their tongues already. We should not make them biased. Let them read the books and let them find out and establish their truth by experimenting with the real world and real society outside. Only then they would have their own knowledge, their own pragmatic and practical knowledge. Thus they would be able to identify the white and green leaves openly, not by telling them, but when they would find it out on their own. And thus they would be able to learn the language of the sun, is this sun created world, the outside world, and they would be able to read the language of the human affairs. And only through this kind of education they can be their history makers. Such kind of education is significant for them, otherwise not. That's the poem. Now, here is an extract with some questions. Try to answer it, and other set of 4 questions is there. Try to write them in your homework copy. Thank you very much.